Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Nikki Lockwood. I'm your school board member, or school board president, sorry. I'm really glad we're all here tonight. Just being together in this space, talking about our city and what we want for it is already a big win, so thank you. I want to thank our other leaders that will be presenting tonight for being here with me, and also the North Central staff, principal, and students who are helping to make this possible, so thank you all. So here's the plan. We'll start with a quick overview of the Together Spokane initiative. Then we'll break into two groups, one to talk about schools and one to talk about parks. That way we can really hear your thoughts and focus on what you'd like to focus on. And if we have time, we will also at the end have some short tours led by our students. They're here to do that right here at North Central. And so you can see some of the proposed changes right here at North Central. So last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of Expo 74. I was 6, and I remember family coming into town and climbing out of my bedroom window on the second floor to sit on the roof and watch the fireworks night after night. It was magical. That's the power of vision. The Spokane community back then dreamed big. We were the smallest city to host Expo ever. And we still benefit from all of that work that happened a long time ago. So now it's our turn. What do we want Spokane to look like in the future? Tonight, we'll share the work that the Spokane Public Schools and the Parks Department are doing to shape the next 20 years, making sure every school and every neighborhood sees improvements. Okay, we just wanted to review our guiding principles. Okay, they're up there. Promoting a healthy, active, and vibrant community. We want to ensure that every student every day engages in real life, and that's something we've been working on in every school, and we know that this is important for every member in our community, so both of these initiatives together will hit every generation in our community. We responded to stakeholder input. After our bond didn't pass in 2024, we reached out to the community to hear the feedback and their concerns. We use that feedback to drive what is included in the Together Spokane package, and our goal was for all the projects to be collaborative, to work together, for our governments to work together. And then we also want to position the city of Spokane as a city of choice. We want to show all that what our city has to offer, from our tourists to our businesses and potential businesses to our families, and then of course our graduates. So we have a lot to offer. So to share more about our collaborative efforts, I will now introduce Spokane Parks and Rec Board President Jennifer Ogden to share more. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, and good evening, everyone. Glad you're here. So Parks and Rec is really excited about what this potential is for this wonderful initiative. You know, it used to be that things were siloed. Parks was over here and don't interfere with things, and schools were over here and, don't use the buildings afterwards because of the maintenance issues. And now we've realized, boy, if we combine efforts, we can do twice as much. And so, and more than that. And so, having finished the bond for Riverfront Park, it was our goal, it has always been our goal, to get out to the neighborhoods and take care of all the neighborhood parks. We have a city blessed with parks, and many of them have issues that need repair, playgrounds that need fixing, graffiti issues, restroom issues. We can get out to all of those parks and deal with those issues. And let me give you an illustration of what that does. Dutch Jake's Park, which is behind Kendall Yards, was a problem park for the city of Spokane and the police department. It was the source of many calls about crime and drug illicit activity, let's just put it that way. And Parks went in, partly enabled by a grant or a donation from the Dutch Jake family, went in and took down the playground and got rid of the shrubbery where you hide things and raised the tree canopy, put down a fresh playground, fresh bark, better lighting, no parking signs around the park so that folks couldn't park their vehicles overnight and do things they shouldn't do. And then the neighborhood, seeing all of that upgrade and all of that improvement, took it back over. And you put moms and kids in parks, it's their park. They took it over, and that made it safer. Calls to the police department over Dutch Jake's after the renovation went down 98%. So I know that safety is top of mind for a lot of the rebirth that we're talking about, but renovating a park and then having the citizens be part of that, taking it over and putting good activity into those parks, that makes it safer. Every neighborhood would be touched with this. So let's see if the map, well, can we have the map up there? Is that next? Oh, here. There we go. Yes. So the green dots are all the parks that would be touched if the park levy passes, when the park levy passes. Let's be positive. The blue dots are all the schools that would be touched by the school bond passing, but if together they pass, the gold dots are the extra prize. With schools and parks collaborating, we can do all of those extra projects. And in addition, there are partners that have come forward, the U.S. Tennis Association and the Boys and Girls Club and other entities that have pledged $11 million in collaborative funding if we can pass both the park levy and the school bond. So together, there's a real magnifier effect. And I know safety, again, is top of mind. Park rangers, if the park levy passes, we can hire 8 park rangers. If both pass, we can hire 16. And somebody asked me, how quickly would the park rangers be hired? Well, that's priority list number 1. It takes time, of course, to go through the hiring process, and it depends a little bit on the candidates that we get, but priority number 1 is front-loading those park rangers into our parks and our neighborhoods. And, you know, of course, they do so many things. They provide not just safety by their presence, they discourage negative activity from even getting started. They provide a little history. The ones in Riverfront Park will give a history of the park and sort of what has happened. They give directions. They're ambassadors for our parks and our city as much as limited commission police officers. So together we can do so much more. I want to introduce Tammy McCracken, the principal of NC, and she'll say a little bit more. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Let's see, where's this little thing? There we go. All right, thanks ladies and gentlemen for coming today. My name is Tammy McCracken and I've had the privilege of serving North Central community since 2016 and as the principal since 2021. I want you to take a minute just to look at the space that you're in right now. This opened in the fall of 2017. And it impacted our community in many significant and positive ways. Prior to that, North Central did not have a commons that could house all of our students. And so maybe they didn't all become best friends, but they were all able to recognize each other as North Central students outside of this community. And that's important. But part of this story then goes to a tale of 2 cities, or as Dr. Anderson likes to say, the CTAC project that's never ended. So as a tale of 2 cities, we have this beautiful north end of our building with upgraded facilities and upgraded labs. At the south end of the building, it's in need of some significant upgrades and repairs. Opening in 1982, I have to commend the citizens of Spokane. It was definitely a forward-thinking opening in 1982. But we have a kitchen there for our career and technical education facility that was meant for home economics. It was meant to teach girls how to be wives and moms. That's what that kitchen was intended for. And yet, we sent the only group of students ever from Spokane area to nationals in culinary arts. Wouldn't it be awesome if we had a professional kitchen to support those so that students could create their own personal pathway for success? What do they need in order to have a rich, fulfilling life that generates enough income that they can be happy and satisfied? Culinary arts, hospitality industry, we know that that's one of them. Another area that we're thriving in right now is our drama department. And within our drama department, we have students that are qualifying for nationals regularly. And yet we have a sound system that dates back to 1982. And in 1982, floppy disks were cutting art. We still have floppy disks, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're here, is we don't have a reliable sound system. So when our students do their school musical, sometimes you can hear them singing, but sometimes you can't, right? And so upgrading that and having our students have that opportunity would be fantastic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about being in the center part of our city right now. So on September 10th, with the help of many of the staff that are here from our feeder pattern schools, we hosted what we call Unite the Pack. We had well over 2,000 people here that night. So in this space, we had games and prizes, and out on the field, we had volleyball games and tug of war and lots of music for cornhole. And what that shows is that people want community. They want to be around other people. With the introduction of our new fields, we would be able to do that. Right now, it takes our coaches hours and hours to prepare our fields for baseball games because we don't have adequate drainage. With this new addition, with these turf fields and this lighting, we could be a center hub for right here in the middle of the city. And we're ready for it. We've shown that we can do that. We just need some of the facilities upgrades in order to be able to do that. I've addressed those on the slide too. If you have any additional questions about our space, we have 4 students that are more than willing and welcome to host you at the end of tonight's presentation. They would love to show you some of the spaces that we're talking about and looking at as they came back. And so go ahead and work with them if you want, but I'm gonna turn it over now to Sandra Gerard, who is our communications expert here, and she's gonna finish the presentation. Thanks, Sandra.
Grab my glasses. All right, I'll get us started. So thank you so much for being here today. I'll get us going. Oops, wrong way. Let's try that.
Just a little review for the test later.
Yes, yes. All right, it feels kind of different to have it behind me, so you'll have to have a little grace. All right, so our first school that we have today up here is Madison Elementary School, and just as President Lockwood mentioned, we heard your feedback last year. You told us that you needed us to build differently so that everyone can have access to our buildings. Going forward, we will build in new and innovative ways. One of our partners that we are so proud to have is the Boys and Girls Club, as was mentioned earlier. At Madison Elementary School, we will build a new school that would also house a Boys and Girls Club. That's for students to have access to after-school care that is so desperately needed. Let's see. And at Adams Elementary School, that is our next one on the list, this build of the school will also house a Boys and Girls Club. And as Dr. Swinyard always says, the major area where students like to hang out is at the Target store. So we really can't have them at Target. We really need to have them engaging with smart activities, such as the Boys and Girls Club. So it has been a great milestone for us to have them as a partner. Let's see. In addition, we will also do a few integration of, facility improvements for 54 schools. Just as we have our homes and we're always doing our upkeep and making sure that everything is working as it should, we have to do that as well in our district. We have 58 buildings that we have to make sure that we provide caring and feeding every year, or as Dr. A would say, a chicken in every pot. So we want to make sure that our buildings are running the way they should. That could be carpet, paint, a roof, whatever is needed. The bond helps pay for that as well. Let's see. Integration of school playfields. After school, we want all families to utilize our parks. If we have a park, our playground, we want your families to be here with us in community. And as Tammy mentioned, there's going to be upgrades to the high school auditoriums. There's going to be upgrades and lights to sound, and so that way the community can come in, and if they would like, they could bring in a theater group, or they could have piano folks come in and play. We really just want to be that location where community feels welcome to come in, and we really want to share that we want to build a sense of belonging for everybody. Then we have collaborative facility scheduling. One thing we'll work on is a way for folks who want to access our facilities to have a one-stop shop. This is something we'll begin to be working on, so that if you're trying to book an event at a location that we have, we want to make it as simple as possible. Then we have the Ferris Sports Complex. We'll work with Spokane Youth Sports Association to build 3 all-weather fields with practice lights and 1 all-weather baseball infield. This will allow us to extend the season and the length of day because of the practice lights. And these practice lights aren't bright. There's been a lot of new technology, so they won't show up as bright. And then another exciting partnership that we have is Shadle Park Indoor Tennis Center. Last December, the United States Tennis Association came to us and asked if they could partner with us, and they're going to allow for us to partner with them so that we have tennis all year round, which will be really exciting. And then another piece that I learned about this year is the Museum of Arts and Culture. They are in need of storage space, and so are we, and so is the City of Spokane. So we're going to work together to have a storage location where we can all share. And the really nice thing about that is that it'll allow for the MAC to be able to showcase its Pacific Northwest artifacts that are currently in their basement, and that's not really good for our community. We want to make sure that we share all those things with students in our schools. And then there's also, change this one now, the property consolidation. This is new. You may have heard about it last year. Oh, that's not it. All right. Last year we worked on having the sale and lease of the a few school district properties that will allow for the acquisition of a single building in the university district. We're going to have the community school there as well, and it will allow for us to save over $300,000 in operational cost, and that is why we are so excited about having it. And I'll go back to our Trades High School. This has been the most exciting project that we have. I think it's very exciting. It's very innovative. It'll be a trade school, grades 9 through 12. It's a little different than the new tech school. This school will house all grades 9 through 12. Students during 9th and 10th grade will have classes with SPS staff, SPS teachers, and grades 11 through 12. Students will be able to attend Spokane Community College, and the amazing thing is that they'll graduate with their diploma and their 2-year technical degree completely debt-free. And I think that is just a great way for us to set our young students out into the world. Another amazing partnership we have is with Spokane Community College, and they've had a pool in their building that has not been utilized since COVID. And so the really nice thing about that is we are thinking, how do we work together with the Parks Department, the community college, to find a way to provide swim lessons for students to have therapeutic type of swim time. And so we worked with the community college, and through the partnership, we would be able to provide swim lessons for all second grade students, and then also really have a place where folks can swim throughout the entire winter. So those are our projects, and we will be available to answer any questions later. Let's see. I think, Nick, this is yours. I'm going to introduce Nick Hammett. That way. Yeah.
There it is. You found it. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Hammett. I'm a landscape architect. I'm a park planning and development manager for Spokane Parks, and it's been really wonderful as a part of this partnership to think about parks all day long and how we can make them better. And you've heard some interesting and wonderful stories about the needs for public schools, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to think about these things together. And as a part of this, you're really looking at 2 measures doing collaborative work. And so as a part of the park measure or portion of this, there really are a number of facets that all came from you and community. When we finished the Riverfront Park bond, if you remembered back in the early 2020s, we asked the community, what would you like us to do next? What's important to you? And we heard a few things, but most often we heard, invest in my neighborhood. Riverfront is great. Downtown is nice. My slide is broken. Go fix it. That's what we heard. And so this is in response to that. Primarily, we heard there are some parks that are so broken they need to be really, really renovated. 3 major parks. And we call those major park renovations. That's Minnehaha Park, Harmon Park, and Grant Park. All of these facilities have been well loved, have been around our community for many, many years, and they've been neglected over the years as we haven't had the ability to invest in them, to fix the restrooms, fix the playgrounds, fix the grounds. We don't even let folks put a stake in the ground in some cases because the irrigation's so poor. There are 3 new communities, portions of our community also, that just don't have access to a park at all. If you live in North Indian Trail, if you live in Shiloh Hills, so north of Francis, east of Nevada, or you live in Latah-Hangman, you don't have access to a public park. One of our goals is to provide a park within 10-minute walk of all of the folks in our community, and so our proposal is in those communities to build a new park. Trailheads and trails, if you're Beacon Hill, Palisades, Tiger Trail, down here, up north, up at North Indian Trail, we have great trails and great community access to the outdoors here in Spokane, and we don't have the parking, the restrooms, the facilities to support those, and so those are the trailhead enhancements. Outdoor learning centers. What is an outdoor learning center? An outdoor learning center can just be outside, right? And there are spaces close to here. Drumheller Springs Park, right over on Assembly, is a great location. I think it's Assembly, but maybe I got that wrong. It's up near Garland, I think. But in any case, if you're studying wildflowers, that's the place to be. Not in the classroom, but out in the park. And so that's what an outdoor learning center would be. In all of our parks, I have the unfortunate responsibility of sharing with you when you ask for new lighting, new picnic tables, pathway repairs, that we don't have the resources to do that. And so we are proposing funding for minor enhancements through all of our park system for pathways. When you call, you should have an expectation that these things be fixed. And that's what that would do. That would be the Spokane Parks version of the chicken in every pot. Sport courts. Do we have any pickleballers in here? I see a couple. Okay, cool. Yeah, not enough courts, right? We have 14 sport courts complexes in this city. 5 are functional. 8 are completely out of service. And they're cracked, you can't get on them, they're broken. It's many, many years of not being able to invest in these spaces. So sport court renovations is something you as a community said we want to have access to those. Disc golf is another really developing sport that is popular here, relatively inexpensive to incorporate, and a BMX pump track for our kids to go out and compete on a BMX track if they so choose. Water efficiency upgrades. I don't know if you've been by Audubon Park and seen water in the middle of the day, and you see the city advertising, don't water in the day, and here's the Parks Department watering in the day, and you're saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it's because we're plugging in hoses, dragging them around the parks, and watering, and we're paying somebody a minimum wage to do that. It makes sense for us to put a new automated system in, water at night, and then you can use the park during the day, not us. Natural land management and wildfire mitigation. Everybody here knows wildfire and the impacts it can have on our community, smoke or actual fire. And what we are challenged with is about 2,000 acres of natural property in the city that we manage, but really it's just there. We don't do much to actively manage it at all because of our resources. And so wildfire reduction, timber management, forest management, this measure would pass a natural lands management crew to address those areas and treat those fuels and improve those locations. One of these days we'll get this right. The most complained item or asset in a park, the thing that we're not happy with the most unhappy with, I'll get it right eventually, are our restrooms. Who's been to a park and had a restroom that's just, it's there but it's locked? It's always locked, it feels like, because it's damaged, it's broken, it doesn't feel great. I have a 3- and a 7-year-old daughter, and where do we go at the playground when we need to go to the restroom? You should expect more. And this measure would propose to enhance all of the restrooms citywide. It replaces about half of them. It renovates the other half. We're working with SPD and a team of architects right now to design that new restroom of the future so that we're ready to start implementing those in 2026. In addition to those restrooms, it's playgrounds. Every single one of them should be better. In this neighborhood alone, we are expecting 9 playground improvements, 3 of which are sort of mini versions of Riverfront Park. You should have that expectation of the rubberized, poured-in-place surfacing. So, believe it or not, the ADA wood chips, I know they're ADA accessible, but if you've ever seen a kid in a wheelchair try and get to a slide on top of those chips, it's not great. We should have an opportunity for those with mobility impairments or other sensory impairments to be able to use these playgrounds and enjoy them. And so we propose major improvements to our playgrounds as a result. I think we talked about pool earlier, but I think one thing that I would hint here and augment with what Sandra had mentioned is pools always come up as a 2nd or 3rd tier priority for all of us in our outreach. And none of us have $70 million to spend on a pool. especially an indoor pool. We have great outdoor pools. They're wonderful for the few months of the year that we can use them, and then we shut them down. Getting swim lessons and getting your kid in swim lessons is a real problem. This partnership, for only a few $1,000,000, allows Spokane Parks, Spokane Public Schools to work together regardless of who owns what, and SCC to leverage a free facility for us to use at a much lower cost than it would be to build a new facility. So this is a way to get something that's an important improvement for folks for much less money. Always looking for a good deal. If you're not safe in a park or you don't feel comfortable in a park, you won't go. That's what we hear. What do we do for the folks that say, it's not comfortable for me to be in a park? That's where the park rangers come in. There's really a three-tiered investment in safety that we see that works. Mom and her kids are the best deterrent for illicit activity in a park. You put my wife in a park, she'll be after you, I guarantee it, if you're breaking the rules. But limited commission park rangers are that next step. So fixing the things that are broken, the broken windows policy, is one part of that. That's what the levy will help fund. Programming, that's another part of that the levy will help fund. And then this is that third key piece of what is that buffer we need in terms of a limited commission officer who can respond to the sorts of issues we have in a park. Somebody's playing their music too loud. I have a nuisance issue going on. I just want to feel comfortable because I have 2,000 people at a cross-country event and I need someone to help manage traffic control. And PD is busy doing the things that they need to be attending to that are far more violent or important or needed at the time. And so park rangers allow us to respond to you much more quickly using a precinct model. So if you're in Northwest, Northeast, downtown, or south, you'll have a group of park rangers assigned to just your part of town. So if I'm in Mission Park or Shadle Park, I can respond to those locations and we can build rapport with neighborhood, with high schools, with the principals, with you, so you know who your park ranger actually is. So that's an important key piece to safety for us. And lastly, maintenance. We have really great park system in this city for the most part. It's just old and it needs some investment. And it's been deferred, that maintenance, for many, many years. And so what this measure proposes is a significant increase, almost a 50% increase in the kind of maintenance that we do, maintenance staff. The reason you're seeing a levy instead of a bond for parks is so that we can hire people to do maintenance work. And these are not people that sit in an office all day answering emails. These are people that are cleaning graffiti and fixing plumbing and fixing the wiring and maintaining your facilities. And believe it or not, we're actually going to talk to each other when we maintain our facilities a little bit better than we have before. And Shadle Park is the perfect example of this. If you go to Shadle Park, the Parks Department mows somewhere to an imaginary line in the middle of that park, and then we leave. And the school district staff comes and they mow the other half to that imaginary line, and then they leave. And we probably pass each other going to and from the park. And so we're sending trucks all over town to mow the same places. And so it makes sense for us to just, maybe Parks takes care of Shadle, maybe you take care of NC, but if we talk and work together, that's how we can squeeze the value of those extra 30 projects out of the same amount of money. And so it's really about investing more in maintenance and care, but also looking at a model that geographically separates our staff so we can work together to reduce our cost. So that's really the maintenance part of this. So it's the fixing, the maintaining, and the working together that really are important. And the last thing I would share is, it really is two measures that you'll see on your ballot. You'll see a school district bond, and you'll see a park levy. But those two things work together. If you vote for one, you might get a part of the overall vision. If you vote for the other, you might get the other part of the overall vision. If you vote for both, the sum is truly greater than the two parts. And so that's where those extra orange dots come in at that top here in the map that you saw earlier. There's a website you can go to. You can look at every one of these projects. You can leave us comments and questions. Of course, we're going to be here for the remainder of this time. I think the educational part initially in the presentation is concluding. And we'll direct you to this site, but we're actually going to go to each of these tables and be ready with park staff and school staff to answer individual questions, have conversations with you, and talk through this more. So rather than everybody come up and answer questions, let's all